Well, this is the unofficial start of the summer driving season, and if you have a road trip in the works, you may want to hit the auto shop first. Now, if you drive an automatic, there's a service you've probably neglected, and it could really cost you down the road. Of course, no pun intended there. Brian Bowersock from West Escondido Auto joins us now.
Good morning.
Brian, we're talking about the transmission fluid, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And
Talk about actually servicing the transmission, correct? The fluid, filters, stuff like that.
And so how often do you need to get that checked out?
Depending 12 to 20,000 miles in there, your service provider should be recommending it. Manufacturers have longer intervals, but what we found is that the fluid, especially in hot driving, and people in San Diego do a lot of towing, going out to the desert, things like that, you start to wear out the fluid. And the only thing you can do to prevent transmission failures for a transmission is have it serviced regularly.
And the fluid gets dirty, right? How does that happen?
What happens is the fluid it's a hydraulic system, and there's actually clutches with linings inside the automatic transmission, and they do wear some, so the fluid picks up and suspends any contaminants that come into the transmission. The problem with that is the fluid circulated through the hydraulic circuits, which is the valve body and stuff. Okay. And if you get a valve that hangs up or a solenoid, because most trannies are partially electronically controlled these days, it can be catastrophic in a couple miles.
Well, I was going to ask you, what's the risk if you do put off this service?
The risk is having the transmission rebuilt or replaced. Oh,
and that can get very expensive.
Especially late model cars these days. They're extremely expensive. Not something most people are prepared to do.
Okay, so we're looking over here. You've got a couple of the filters.
Correct. We got a couple different kind of filters, different transmissions. As you can see, these are all newer style car filters. They're quite big. They actually have a Dacron filter inside of them that catches the contaminants. Okay. This is one of the reasons that is so important in whether doing a flush or a service that the filter gets replaced. There are some facilities that just like to plug into the tranny and flush it clean without replacing the filter. The filter is a thing that catches all the contaminants in the trans. So this really needs to be replaced. And then a flush is not a bad idea if the fluid is starting to get really dirty. That's the only way to get all the fluid out of the transmission and clean the whole thing out.
Right. I was going to ask, do you always need to get the flush, or?
No. If you stay on top of it, 12 to 20,000 miles of service, a lot of times you may never need a flush because the fluid doesn't get dirty enough to have to change everything out. It's just a service kind of thing. You get 2/3 of the fluid out of the tranny, replacing it. We'll keep it going without ever having to do a flush.
So obviously the cheaper way to go, right?
Correct. Well, the best way. It keeps it maintained. Yeah, one thing we did want to touch on this morning also is we have all the different manufacturer kind of fluids here. Everybody is manufacturing their own fluid. They are not interchangeable. In the old days, we had Mercon and Dextron. These days, we have everything to Ford has 2 types of fluid, Mopar, Honda, etc. It's very important your service provider uses the right type of fluid for your vehicle.
Yeah, you were mentioning if 2 of these fluids actually mix, it creates a gel.
It can start to gel on certain fluids, correct, and it can cause catastrophic failure of your transmission.
I can only imagine. Well, Brian, hey, thanks so much for joining us.
No problem.
Of course, if you have any questions for Brian, a summer car question, of course, just drop him an email. You can actually find the link to his website on ours. It's box6.com. You just have to click on Hot Topics.